Hey everybody, Wendy Klinke with Blue Cat Studio. Give me 1 second while I get this whole Instagram thing going. I feel like I'm missing something. Anybody? Help! Well, I don't know. What am I doing wrong here? I'm pressing the button. Well, I guess the show must go on, right? We will worry about Instagram later. Anyways, there goes my slightly false goofy start. But welcome to day 3 of the Cherry Blossom Challenge. Today we're going to be working on the Sakura tree. Well, I guess I should show it to you this way so you can see it. As you join, please say hi and comment. And you'll notice that on Facebook, there's a little link that says StreamYard and accept. So if you click on the link, hey, Janine, good to see ya. So I can see Janine's name because she clicked yes on the whole accept StreamYard. And it just means that I can see your name. Otherwise, it comes up as so see, there's hers. Otherwise, it comes up as Facebook user. So go ahead and comment as you come in. Let me try one more time to get this. What am I doing wrong? Somebody explain to me why I can't make the Instagram go live. Do I have to have something dumb? Like there's all these weird filters. Well, let's try that one. Somebody help. What am I doing wrong? All right, settings. Default camera, left side, done. All right, I know, I'm feeling really dumb here. Is that you, Diane Daly? Oh, yes, we're going live on Instagram. Thank you guys for waiting for me, for being a little bit stupid when it comes to that. Hey, Instagram, Wendy Klinke from Blue Cat Studio. I'm apparently completely useless when it comes to starting live. All right, so let's get the show started, right? Because y'all don't have all day. So we're gonna be doing the Sakura tree, and those of you in the Facebook group have hopefully already printed out the downloadable design. If you haven't, go ahead and grab it real quick. If you're not in the group right now, I apologize. All my devices are doing this stream thing here. So I can't exactly preview for the group, but you should be able to freehand this. This is really pretty basic, straightforward. I think you got this. Let's grab ourselves some blues and some greens. So just kind of grab what you had. I'm going to go with some of this mermaid tail deep teal color. And yes, I really love mermaid tail deep teal from Deco Art Americana. It's kind of fantastic. Digging through the, oh no, don't break things. Digging through the bin, I think I've got kind of an appley green color. If you don't have appley green or holiday green or whatever the heck it's called, or festive green or chartreuse, whatever, pick a thing. Colors here don't matter that much. So I'm just going to squeeze a few options out on my plate. Oh, and this one, I want some, yeah, we'll go with regular blue and then we'll bring out the navy blue if we need it. All right, we'll just squeeze them on. So now you've got a nice palette with a range of colors and options. So this is going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. And we do the background first, and then we come back later and we add the design on top. So hopefully you've got some paint pens with you, whether it's, you know, a thick one or a thin one. These days I've been really loving the big fatties, and they're like the medium tip Artistro paint marker pen. Anyways, I know you're here to paint, not to hear me gabble. So just gonna pick a color. We'll start with some blue and just kind of creating some kind of shapes on this. If you've been joining me for more than one day, you know the drill. We're just taking color and kind of placing it on your canvas, on your surface. So this one is a watercolor paper. You could just as easily do a small canvas. They have very different textures. You know, I did most of my original pieces and design concepts for these. I'm gonna pull up these sleeves so I don't get paint on them. Pull up your sleeves, pull up your sleeves. I did most of my originals actually in newsprint kind of type things in a book that talked about the company health, like for DuPont of all things. So what we're doing today, which is a little bit different from the other days, is we are kind of using multiple colors as we create the background rather than doing one and then switching to the other. And if that doesn't quite work for you, you can always start with one and then pop over to the other. I'm liking how all these different tones blend. And so this is very much a technique. We'll never get an exact replica of the thing, or even super exact well, if it's not going to be exact, it won't be super exact, will it? Anyways, it won't be exact, you know, because it's very much about creating random happenings here on your page or on your sheet, and then working with them. And so you might not have the same stencils as me. You know what? I'm a cheat. I need to blend a little. I'm going to grab some white. Hopefully I put that on your list. Hopefully I put that on every list. And I'm going to use the white to actually cover some of the white spots on my sheet. And the reason I'm doing that is because it blends beautifully with the wet paint. And so it doesn't really seem like white. But just bring out the inner child in you. Bring out kind of the youthful joie de vivre as you play. This is about play. And so if this is your first time joining us and you haven't painted with me before, well, welcome first and foremost. This is like a really big event for us. We don't usually do 5 major tutorials in a row, but I was just so feeling, you know, a spring break and cherry blossoms are in peak season that it just seemed like it was time to do something a little extra. And so again, if you're joining for the first time, the next 2 days worth of tutorials, which are going to be the Eiffel Tower, April in Paris, as well as the Tidal Basin painting. Those are both going to be exclusive for Let's Paint with Blue Cat group members. And, you know, it's free. All you got to do is hit join, enter your email address. So you get the occasional update from me. I don't spam. And then, you know, I also ask, hey, what's your pain points? What I want to know more than anything so that I can serve you better is, you know, where do you get stuck? What's getting in the way of you and your art? And the reason I ask that is, you know, the key trend I'm really seeing is that, you know, we're all creative beings, creative souls, but many of us get to that blank page and we're like, that's me. That used to be me. These days I've almost kind of I've tapped into the creative machine. And so what I'm hoping is that you will also tap into my creative machine. I come up with all kinds of fun designs. I absolutely love to teach. I love to break things down. And, oh, hey, all right. So I'm going to click on you. Hello. So, hi everyone, ran late. What are we doing? If you click on the StreamYard thing, then I can actually know who you are and talk to you. But we are doing the Sakura tree. And so I'm just walking us through how to create the background. All right, so I think we've got a pretty good base here. Go ahead and offload any excess paint that you've got on a scrap piece of paper or out of the way on your workspace, and go ahead and rinse your brush. And there goes my paint water. Boom, it's all ugly now. Oh, hi, Jill. Woohoo! So we're doing the tree. And of course, Jill, you're one of our group members, so you will have full access to the Tidal Basin tutorial, the colorful one, as well as the Eiffel Tower painting. So anyways, I've sort of taken it on as my job to create cool designs that you can join me in doing. And so I take some of the guesswork out of art and hopefully make it easier for you to make more art. Yep. So Jill, how to paint the background. I literally started with some blue, some green, some teal, some chartreuse, and some white. And I just kind of went to town. No particular order. It was a real mishmash. Just let's dip in this and do this. Let's dip in this. It's your opportunity to just play. The idea is to create an interesting and variegated background to just kind of mess with. So pretty basic. Now, I think I want to tone this a little bit here and there with some gesso. Oh, that's not gesso. Girl, it's about to make a big old mess. Gesso. So gesso is a white primer. It's used to prime canvases, especially raw canvas. So when you buy a canvas, like from Michael's or the store or whatever, do I have one sitting around? Here I do. These guys are already primed, right? This canvas board came pre-primed, so you don't have to gesso it. So gesso is really for raw surfaces, or if you're, say, working in like on lightweight paper, if you add a coat of gesso first, you can abuse the you know what out of that piece of paper because the gesso really strengthens it. All right, so we try not to just substitute gesso for white paint, and because it doesn't mix well, it adds this weird sort of cloudy, muddy almost effect to, okay, my brush is dry. It adds a muddy effect and kind of dilutes your paint in a way that we don't like. So after you've rinsed your brush, go ahead and dry it off on a paper towel. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of this gesso on my brush, a very thin layer. And let's see, if I'm thinking about the tree, I'm realizing that I'm going to have kind of the design going this way. And so it's going to have to be a little bit lighter through here so that some of this design pops. I can allow more of this darkness to show. So we'll just add a little bit of that white. In fact, I'm going to add a touch of water and create a gesso wash. So I have a very wet brush. I dried it, I know. I was like, oh, blah, 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 dry it. Then I realized, you know, it goes on kind of stripy, and I want it to be kind of loose. So I created a wash, and now here's where, if you're really feeling frisky, you can finger paint, you can use your hands to kind of mush it in. If you're not liking that, you can use a paper towel, but I feel like I can almost thin it out a bit and get some interesting edges, apparently some fingerprints as well, by using my hands. Yeah, there's something about like recently, every time I sit down to paint, I always end up doing at least a little bit of finger painting. I cannot help it. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit more. Oh gosh, I thought it was my water. I was just knocked over a little jar of paint. Yeah, Matt, finger painting, totally finger painting. That's the way to do it. Okay, so now that we've done all that work on that beautiful background, we've just washed it out. But that's the cool thing about this kind of mixed media project is that we work in layers, and you build and you build, and maybe you'll lay down all this stencil and you might actually paint over all of it. But even if just a little micro bit of it peeks out, it looks so cool and it's really worth it. So let's do that. Okay, I'm going to grab some navy blue. If you don't have navy blue, if I forgot to tell you that you needed it, seeing like the paint list I suggested was kind of short. It's all mixable. You could get a little bit of black and a little bit of this brighter blue and mix a navy. The one I'm going for is Prussian blue. It is such a deep color. I really like it. And so then we're going to break out some stencils. And we're going for little stencils. If you don't have little stencils, you can always use bubble wrap. Hey, thanks. I'm all about the tie-dye. So we'll start with some bubble wrap just to kind of get you going. And if you're like, oh my gosh, wait, hold on, I got to get up and go get my thing. Go ahead, go get it. It's cool. I'm going to just do a little bit of paint right there on my bubble wrap. So that was on the bubbly side. And then we flip it over and just kind of place it down and peel it up. It almost made like a heart shape. So now we've got kind of a cool pattern, right? And then maybe we'll put just a little bit more over in the corner here. And again, you place these where you want them. You don't have to do it just the same as me. All right, Matt, I'm learning how to do this, so I'm totally gonna like highlight you. Boom. Oh my gosh, I got like way more paint off of that than I expected. Well, good. Go in for like sloppy seconds on your stuff. Okay. Next up, I'm feeling some orange. I want to mix my own orange. Anybody else feeling a little like I want to mix my own orange? Actually, no, wait, I'm going to do a stencil first. So I have some butterfly stencils I got from the dollar store. I have these cool pattern ones. These are my most favorite. I've yet to use them in this tutorial or in this series, so maybe I'll break some out now and just do one. All right, we'll do orange after. I want to get a little bit of color in. So try not to oversaturate your brush too much. And we're going to kind of dab and pounce right on down on top of that stencil there, so that kind of the ends of the bristles are pushing through and leaving, I keep wanting to call it ink, but paint on your surface. And I love that pattern. I'll do maybe another one over here. And maybe I'm going to stay, it's like such a perfect square, and that kind of drives me nuts sometimes. I'm going to stay a little away from the edges and see if I can get just sort of partials here. Bloop. Okay, and then maybe another one up here. And I love this navy blue. And I'll probably do a wash right over it, and some of this is going to start to hide and go away, and that's okay. Peel it up. I'm going to offload a little bit of the paint from the brush and pull out more of the mermaid tail teal. So you'll notice also that every so often we rinse the brush, but while we're doing this, unless we're going from, you know, green to orange, we really don't need to swap the brush or to rinse the brushes. So now that I've got some of that mermaid tail teal, I'm going to grab maybe one of the star shapes and kind of just dab in here and get some other interesting shapes. And again, you know, use some bubble wrap, you know, if you feel like drawing swirlies and other funny things, or you could take like squiggle lines with a brush or your finger. You could grab a water bottle. Do I have one? I think the other day we took a lid like, oh, here's one. Hopefully I can make this work. I'm gonna paint a little bit of the green. This is a ball jar lid or a canning lid ring. It's all rusty, so let's see what we can do. So I'm painting, and it's got this cool ridged edge. So I'll take that and maybe do like a diagonal line and just kind of roll it across my canvas, willy-nilly. And that left kind of a cool little shape, like right through here. Oh, there you go, like right in here. So find things around the house that have cool textures that you can smash down on your thing. What else do I have in my fancy kit? Yeah, we did this guy the other day. I really like him. Our Dollar Tree pumpkin. So kind of get some of his edges. And this one's cool because even though my paint is getting in the space between the pumpkin bits, those parts really don't show. So I can then take this guy and just kind of roll him on down the side of my canvas, and now I have a row of dots. And I love it because it's almost like this meandering, like pebble walk. And is it showing on camera? No, not too much. I have a wine bottle here. It's empty. No, I didn't drink it recently. But you know, we can make wine bottle prints and wine glass prints and soda can prints. Oh, I do like this pumpkin. He's a goofy, weird thing, but it leaves a fun pattern. Oops, I lost a stem. Well, it's not like I'm going to use this guy for decoration anytime soon. And so, you know, if you go a little overboard with your shapes and your stencils, that's fine because we're going to paint over a lot of this, but don't be afraid of that. Just relax, let go, and allow the painting over and the exploration to happen. Bing, 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 bing. Okay. Oh, and you know what? Sometimes these things, when they're all wet, you can flip them over and print from the outside of the stencil on and get a cool reverse look too. Let's see how that go. Did it work? Sometimes it works. Ooh. Yeah, I like that one a lot. See that right there? It's kind of reverse. And so we don't have a lot of rhyme or reason here. It's totally typical and it's good. Scrub with my almost dry brush to get a little bit more of the color. A little bit refrain on that pattern here. Oh, I have butterflies. Where did I put my butterflies? Oh, there they are. The butterflies make a good finishing touch. We'll think about that guy later because you know I'm going to be like, oh, I can't touch my butterflies. I'm just kind of offloading some of my paint onto my thing because I can, right? Okay, good. Oh, you know what we all talk about often and I keep forgetting to put in the supply list? My favorite other tool, blow dryer. Give it just a quick blast to kind of help the paint along, ensure that it's mostly dry. Now, hopefully yours is drying pretty quickly too. The watercolor paper really absorbs the moisture from the things pretty quickly. So it's making my job a whole lot easier. I'm gonna rinse this guy because we need to take a break from the navy blue, and I feel like I've gotten most of the paint off it. So not sure I can squeeze a whole lot more out of this guy while we're here. So rinse them and dry them. Hopefully you won't leave too much blue greeny color, you know. All right, now we're going to do some orange. I want to add a little bit of interest to the background, and then we're going to have to tone it again, but it is fun to have the interest. So I'm going to go with an orange, and the orange is always a little bit grouchy. So I'm going to add a touch of hot pink to my orange because I don't know about you, I have a fluorescent color problem. So I really literally just put them side by side, kind of together. They got married. Now they're about to have kids by mixing them. And so really the orange is going to be a little bit, I think, more dominant, but that hot pink is going to make that orange go pow, which is what I'm looking for. Now it's a little bit more electric orange. That makes me happy. Make sure you wipe that paint off somewhere. You don't want to accidentally get that on your face. The other day I was filming something and I got this big old like black streak across my forehead. And I didn't manage to get it wiped off until after I was done filming. And I looked in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God. I looked like I had this extra high crooked eyebrow. So, yeah. Welcome to the insane asylum. So, ooh, this could be fun. You know what? I just said not going to do the butterflies. I think this orange color will be fun for the butterflies. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to stick one right here. And I do worry a little bit. Okay, I'm going to attempt to mix a little with a gesso and see if that works. Yeah, even though I just said don't mix with gesso if you don't have to, I think I'll get better coverage. So you get your mix, you get it, but make sure your brush isn't too saturated. And then go ahead and kind of wipe some of it down if you need to, and then we'll kind of dab and daub here. And if you're not liking the orange, you can pick a different color. You can do hot pink, you can do red. Sometimes it has trouble showing up on top of these dark backgrounds. Come on, fingers. There we go. That one worked okay. So we're not brushing over it. We're kind of pouncing up and down, like pop, 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 pop. Because I find that when I brush, it tends to push a lot of paint under the stencil. And now we'll do a reverse print here just because I can. So I think I got a lot of paint on that guy. We'll see. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't work. It leaves a light. It leaves a light something. It doesn't matter if we can't really tell what it is. It's all good. Maybe we'll do another guy over here. I'm going to use this one. Now my goal is not to preserve these butterflies. My goal is just to have more pattern that's occurring amongst the things. So I'll flip it over and use the reverse right here. And so sometimes, I really like doing these mixed media pieces because you can put a lot of work on kind of creating these interesting backgrounds, and then you keep the foreground rather simple, and it comes together pretty quickly. I'm always surprised at that. Bear with me, I gotta tilt my thing up just a bit because it was drifting. Oop. And then maybe one more butterfly. Yeah, right here. I'm still sticking to my orange. Pow, 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 pow. That's much better than the orange I did on the original draft of this guy. It was like looks all brown and kind of sad. This one at least has a little bit more pop. Oh, and we'll reverse print him as well. And chances are most of this will be gone later, but it's fine. We're playing. We are playing. We're experimenting with materials. So it's all good. Okay. Now let's do some rings. So my dollar store base. If you have a soda bottle, soda can, a water bottle, in fact, I keep seeing them around the house and I keep forgetting to grab them, but some of those water bottles and soda bottles have like the like 5 or 6 little plops on the bottom, which when you plop them down can look a little bit like a flower. So I always like that. So I'm gonna just add some paint to the mouth or the lip of this round jar-like vase. See that? Okay. Now, just here we go. I'm gonna do a jar print. You can have some of them kind of working their way off. And if you're like, well, I don't like that, that's fine. Don't do it. I just think kind of the rings add a little abstract fun to it. Maybe we'll do one more over here, kind of coming off. Maybe attach another one. Always have to have even numbers. Oh, today is March 31st. I gotta check on my cousin, see how she's doing. Okay. All right. So I didn't make any of those rings, prominent, but they sort of are occurring out in the boundaries. We'll go ahead and give it a quick dry. Do I want to? Oh, I'm so tempted to just smear some of this on this. I'm going to do it. It's not in the original program, but I just want to smear a little bit of pink. Bear with me, or that orangey color. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. It was like, it was calling to me. All right, blow dry it, and go ahead and also, while you're at it, and rinse. We're multitasking, right? I just got to make sure I don't electrocute myself with like my paint water and my blow dryer. Yeah. Hey, Shanna. And we'll dry this guy off. Okay, now it's time to transfer the design, or you can freehand it. Again, those of you who aren't in the group won't have access to the design traceable right now, and that's probably fine. This one's fairly easy. The April in Paris one tomorrow, is going to be a little bit more complicated. So make sure that you request access to the group by 6 p.m., maybe even 5:45 tomorrow if you want in. Because I'm not going to be doing it live on the main page. It'll only be inside the Let's Paint group. All right, what am I looking for? I am looking for, I got all these trees everywhere. I got the wrong one. This isn't the one either. This is Tidal Basin. Okay, so 2 ways to transfer a design. You can either scribble on the back with chalk, or you can use graphite or carbon paper. Because it's a little bit easier for you to see my design, I'm using carbon paper. First couple days I did chalk and then was like, ugh. It makes it a little harder to communicate. So I'm just going to place it down and use the, so the carbon paper is face down, the dark side down, and the sort of the matte finish side up. Place the design on top. And then you can use either a stylus or a pencil. I like the pencil because then I can really see what where I've got my stuff. Obviously where it says, you know, copyright Blue Cat Studio, don't trace that. And if you feel like, I don't know, ad-libbing it, go for it. But you're really just kind of creating like a trunk type thing over here on the side, and then maybe having a branch or two that's coming down. Think of it like lightning. Last night we called it black lightning. You can totally do that. And so really it's sort of a thing on this side, and then it just is a thing that arcs up, and about 2/3 or a little bit more than halfway across it kind of starts to arc back down again. And this is one of those ones where I offer the traceable design really just to kind of, in case you're not feeling confident about your ability to freehand it, you have the option. But this is definitely one that I believe you can create some semblance of. And it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, the more different it is from mine, the more original it is, right? Okay. So this isn't going to be like bold as blazes, but it's going to be kind of visible, right? So now that we've got the design transferred, now you could have also just gone over and drawn it in with pencil. Awesome. We're going to grab our paint pen and just kind of get it sketched in so we know it's there. And I'm going to come here, just follow that line. If this is your first time using a paint pen, because you didn't join us the other nights, you may need to shake, 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 shake. Like give it a really good shake. Now, personally, I'm a huge fan of these Artistro paint pens. They're water-based paint pens. I get them on Amazon. No, I am not paid for this. And I like them because they've got a clear body. So you can look at them at a glance and see if your pen is mixed. Like, for example, my white here, you can tell it's not mixed because it's all like yellowy and liquidy on top, and you can see the pigment on the bottom. So that one would need to be shaken. And then as you look, you're like, you can tell, no, it's not quite combined yet, or oh, it's well shaken. So that's my plug for the Artistro, simply because you can see. And it's Wendy proof, right? I know if my pen is ready for me or not. So we're just just kind of going over those lines that we just traced on. And again, if you don't have access to the design tracer right now, you can get it later, but this is totally, totally, totally freehandable. Even for those of you who claim you can't draw, you can make this one up. And the best part is, you're learning this technique, so if you don't like the first one, well, do another one. Get outside your comfort zone. Okay. I need like bifocals to see this a little bit here. Bear with me while I attempt to get it drawn in here. Is that, oh, I'm going wrong. Yeah, okay, it's there and maybe there. Boop. See, look at me, I'm getting all hung up on perfection, trying to keep track of my own lines. Although, honestly, I just kind of went a little nuts the other, when doing the Tidal Basin one, and I did freehand that one. So I'll go over how to freehand that one when I teach it, but also provide the traceable in case you want it. All right. Hey, Melissa, welcome. I hope you're painting with us. We're also live on Facebook, so I'm talking to quite the crew. So hello Instagram, hello Facebook. The Facebook page, you actually have two screens, one that's straight down on the painting, so it's really easy to see. And Instagram, it's just a single. So if I turn it sideways, can I get it on both cameras? Almost. You know, maybe like another month or two of doing these every day, I'll finally like get it dialed in. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, okay. Now that we have the design, we kind of have a sense of where our stuff is. And you don't need to fill it all in, but some of these like skinnier parts, you know, it's okay to just add a little extra darkening around the edges, just so you can kind of keep track of where your stuff is, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let's break out more of that navy blue, or if you're not feeling navy blue, don't do navy blue. But I did this one in navy blue, and I kind of liked the effect. Instead of going, actually, let's start with turquoise. I'm sorry, teal. We're gonna go with teal first. Little teal, little navy blue. So we're gonna get some of that teal, and we're gonna kind of color inside lightly so you can see through some of the patterns inside parts of that tree. So this one reminds me almost of like a cloudy day or a night scene, kind of like today and peak cherry blossoms. It's been like blackout all day here in DC. So whatever gorgeous cherry blossoms were out and like doing their thing yesterday have probably all been like washed right off into the Potomac today with all these like pouring rain and wind and junk. But hey, we got to love it for like this long, right? It's cool. Okie dokie. Let's see. So my paint pen was a little wet and I smudged a little, but whatever. Grab some, I'm going to go in with a wet brush. So dipping it in my nasty paint water. I'm going to grab some of this navy, just kind of swirl it around on my palette. No rinsing. I still have that dark teal or mermaid tail in there. We're going to go ahead and just kind of create a navy wash, kind of right up and into that teal, kind of filling in the trunks of this tree. Again, the idea being that some of the stuff underneath is maybe peeking through. And allow some of it to be whimsy and just do its thing. Come in with a little bit more navy blue and add a few extra. Oh, it's like my hand here. You can't see what I'm doing. All right, figure out if I can tweak that a little bit. Come in like so and just scrub other bits of navy in there. Maybe the underside of that branch gets a little extra navy. I mean, this is just kind of working with the materials and the wet and letting it kind of do its thing. It's not specific, so don't feel that you have to be exact. But I'm kind of loving how we've got those little bits of the teal and the navy, plus some of the patterns underneath popping out. Again, if you have questions, feel free to, comment. But I'm just sitting here talking. Just talking. Okay. All right, so how do we want to go from here? I think one of the cool things that I did before on this one, which I really liked, was actually place some stencil on top of the tree and just inside the tree. So here's where, again, your bubble wrap might be really interesting, especially if we came in with additional like navy blue. And I feel like I've gotten most of the other colors off it. So if we just kind of create a little bit of navy blue right here and then press it down on top of the tree in the inside, you could do that with your bubble wrap. Sorry, that was totally effective communication right there, huh? And peel it up. Yep, got some cool dots in there. Yep. Could also take a pattern guy and maybe something like this guy right here. Can you see that okay? Where's the cami? Oh, yeah. I'm looking in the wrong place. And if you're using a stencil like this, you just be cognizant of where your bounds are and make sure that you're dabbing inside the bounds of the shape you're trying to apply stencil to. I think I want this guy kind of more, a little bit up the branch. And maybe some of these funny triangle shapes. I don't have a reason for choosing one or the other, although these triangles are really small, and so they will kind of allow me to meander with and stay inside the shape. Whereas some of these other designs are a little bit harder to follow curving shapes. And why am I doing this? I don't know, because it looks cool. No reason. And that's perfectly good enough. That's the beauty of mixed media, is we play and we do these things that are unexpected and illogical, and somehow in the end you come back to it and it totally works. And I think that's like my most favorite part. I'm going to rotate this a bit just so I can kind of get to it. My most favorite part of mixed media is how that just kind of happens and kind of catches you by surprise. I'm going to dip into the light blue just for giggles. Time a little piece right there. Okay. Didn't really do much for it. Whatever. Print. Okay. So it's already coming along pretty good, right? You can kind of see how we got to that other design, right? I'm going to go ahead and offload my brush. And now we're going to tune the background a little bit. Oh, did I tell you guys to grab Q-tips? I think I did. Oh, I left mine over there. Q-tips and tape. That's going to be kind of the final step in how we get our cherry blossoms. And I realized it's kind of goofy and cliche, but when I was doing it, it was so much fun. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do this in a class just because we can. It was so fun. But before we do that, let's just do a little tuning here. So in the one I did previously, I had some really fun kind of washes of green, and I like that effect. So I want to bring some more green splashes. And I'm thinking, yeah. So I'm going to see what happens. Get some chartreuse and some sour apple. Is that sour apple? It is sour apple. And the chartreuse one is actually called Citron. Oh no, I popped my bubble wrap. It's dead now. It's called Citron Green. I just call it chartreuse because that's kind of like the universal non-branded name. Okay, so taking some of my chartreuse, I'm just going to wash. Oh yeah, the chartreuse is a good one because it gives me that sort of amped up color. And it also picks up some of the blue underneath, which keeps it from being quite so insane. Although, you know, I like insane. And no rhyme, no reason. I'm just looking around, seeing spots that might take the chartreuse real well. So, like right in this zone, right in here. While I didn't do it on the other one, I think I had more of the chartreuse and the brighter greens up here. And again, there'll be more layers. This is just begging me today to add a little color. So I'm going to do that. It's a light wash. I'm not slapping the paint on. I'm just kind of light, almost dry brushing it in place. Yeah. And that allows the navy blue print underneath to still really show up well, but it also gives a little extra oomph. And as a reminder, parts of this tree, we're going to have to redraw it, but we got it kind of in so that we had a sense of where stuff was going to be. And I'm going to try a little bit right in between here. I know it helps you plan your composition. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the big girl way of saying, you know, whatever it is I was trying to say. Okay. So I've gone a little nuts with the green here, and I'm good with that. Maybe go re-nuts a little bit with some blue. Oh, finger painting time. A little blue right in here. Why? Because it looks okay to me. Don't feel that you have to be like, well, I have the blue here, I'm going to do the thing here. Again, this is your painting. So if you're feeling that you need a big splash of blue somewhere else, do it. So just creating a couple of stripes across, and yep, there's some sections of darkness and other stuff. Okay. Now that we've got the color in, we're going to blow dry it again. Rinse your brush. And I didn't say offload because I feel like we really did a whole lot of offloading directly on the piece itself. All right. Apparently I'm not multitasking real well right now. So one thing and then the next. Okay. Now I realize those of you who are out there watching, you're like, I may be plowing through this pretty quickly. One of the reasons is that, especially because this will eventually be a replay, sitting there and me going slow, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And oftentimes I find, at least as someone who likes to consume tutorials as well, sometimes I'm like, all right, chop, 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 and I'm hitting the fast forward button. So I'm attempting to give you a little bit of the fast forward so that if you need to come back later and hit pause, you're good. But I'm also not, losing the folks who are like, chop, 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 chop. It's kind of a crazy mix. All right, enough talk, more paint. So with a clean, mostly dry brush, I got back into the gesso. It's the slightly watered down gesso. I still had some. If yours is all dried up, add a little bit more gesso and dip your thing in the water, your brush in the water to just lighten it up, and we'll mix that wash. If you don't have gesso, a matte finish, like cheap craft paint in white, it's also fine. The matte finish is really nice. And if you don't have that, just make do. Just use your white paint. It's okay. All right, so I'm gonna come through. I gotta turn this again because I'm gonna come around and trace roughly the edges of the tree, kind of fill in, keeping it light. And again, this is a gesso wash. So we did all that adding, and now we're kind of doing some subtracting. I'll lighten my wash a little bit more so it's a little bit more transparent. And I'm going over the branches. I'm going to leave the trunk now because we did all that work and got the trunk where we liked it. And because this is acrylic and for the most part fairly cheap paint, perfectly okay to get your fingers in it. If you're working in oil paints, that's not a good idea. Right, Krishna? I see you in Instagram land. He just completed the most beautiful, like dark or sky sat with the clouds and the sun. Oh my gosh. Like amazing realism, like serious squad goals, my people, serious goals. So if you're on Instagram, you should check out Krishna's covered. Just really great work. All right. And again, kind of focusing the wash around the tree branches, right? Because when we come back in, we're going to be placing the blossoms around the tree. And while it does look cool to have the pink on the dark colors, sometimes it pops a little bit better when it's a smidge lighter and a little bit more uniform, because we've got a lot of crazy color going on here. But we're also kind of having fun with the color behind it or beneath it, and so we don't want to lose all that, but we do need to tone some of it. And so I'm not covering the whole thing. I don't want to say indiscriminate, because that's not true either. Just focusing the lightening around the tree itself. And so what that does is it allows the tree branches to rise to prominence in the dark part. Oops, my hands are in the way. And some of the insanity of the background to kind of fade. So I still got a little something going on here which some of which I like and some of which I want to tweak. So just continuing to use my gesso wash, keeping it really wet. Again, because I don't want to cover it completely. This is coming on a little thick. I've got a really pretty stencil print here that I don't think I want to lose. So almost kind of creating a line around it. There. Yep, and then there's that like cool rolled canning jar lid print that I also like. And so you can kind of almost be choosy. If there's a piece that you like, you can be a little lighter with your wash in that zone, and then a little bit more intense with a wash in others. Like there's this cool stencil bit sticking out right here. You guys can see that here, and then I got this little thing here. Insta World, it's here, and where's the other piece? Here, that one's almost gone, but I don't want to lose it completely. So I kept the wash really light in that zone. And we'll do a little something over here, just a bit. More water. Okay, paper, don't absorb it too fast. And I'm gonna just kind of go after that with a paper towel. And this is also why we use the hairdryer in between, to allow some of those base coats to dry, so I'm not just wiping them directly off. So now we have a little bit more of a subtle, kind of well-blended background. It's not quite as in-your-face insane. That dark spot was a little much for me. So if you have spots that feel just too like electric or too much, they're offending your sense of balance, those are the ones you want to go after with your gesso, right? And the other thing is, you know, once I finish up and we kind of turn this whole thing off, if you pause and look at your painting and think, you know, I really like this section, this part's kind of driving me nuts, you can fix it, you can tweak it, you can be like, oh, well, she didn't do this, but I'm going to add some swirls, I'm going to add some doodles. Totally do that. It's totally cool. Okay. I think I want to bring at least one stencil back to prominence. You know, we'll do that after. Let's go get go get your Q-tips and a little bit of tape, whether it's Scotch tape, masking tape. I forgot to get it, so let me just go over here and grab it. I never keep them far. So as much as I'm an even number kind of girl, in art we always go odd numbers, so make sure it's an odd number. Oh, I grab 6. Grab 7. 6, 7, or 7, whatever. An odd number of Q-tips. And kind of place them on your work surface and kind of tap them so they're all mostly the same. Well, now that I did that, get yourself a piece of tape first. Oh, I have Scotch tape right there. Well, I have masking tape, painter's tape too, because, you know, because I'm also the girl who has like 6 rulers and 8 pairs of scissors within reach, because you can never have too many rulers and scissors. Am I right? Okay. So you got those kind of stacked, kind of clumped. I'm trying not to have them in a perfect circle. I want them a little bit, well, that looks funny. Okay. So when you have them, so I don't know if you can see that. I've kind of clumped them. Here, you guys, you can see them this way. Kind of. I've kind of clumped them, clumped them irregularly, right? We don't want a perfect circle. We want kind of a funky thing. So we'll go ahead and grab some hot, yeah, I got space to do it right here. Some hot pink, some white, and then how about one more pink? Pick a pink, any pink. I'm going to go with this Razzleberry from Deco Art Americana. So I have a neon pink from Deco Art, although they call it sizzling pink. It's neon. Razzleberry, which is a nice, intense, kind of deep peony almost, and then just white. I think it's the Snow from Deco Art. And no, I don't have any compensation from those guys, but they do have really great coverage, so I often recommend them and use them because they do good stuff. So now that I've got like that tripod of colors, I'm going to do a little swirling in the middle, swirl a little out of each kind of set. And that's pretty wild, right? Anybody see that? Yeah, kind of. So the idea is that you've got a whole lot of different colors going on there. And this might take a minute to kind of get it dialed in, but you want to spread some of that paint out a little bit, and then we're going to stick our Q-tips in, kind of dab. Let's see how this goes. You know, I'm going to test on my work surface, make sure it's, yeah. So they're a little bit fluffy. Just spread them out and kind of pounce them down a bit. Okay, there we go. We're getting there. So you got to let them get saturated a bit and kind of, I don't want to say pound them a bit, but kind of let it get a little bit compressed. And you can kind of spread the bits out a little. But once you get it going, it's fun. So bear with me. We're just kind of getting it started. Fluffy, fluffy, fluffy. Okay. So getting it again in the paint. And let's see what happens. And if it doesn't work, well, who cares? We'll just make it work. Okay, so that was cute. You guys can kind of see that. So I literally just place it down and I roll it. Then maybe come over and grab touches of white and pink and whatever. Or if I need to offload some on my palette, maybe. And roll it. Some of them are coming out a little bit too saturated, but that's okay. We'll come back in a little later with some individual Q-tips to clean it up. But you know what's kind of cool about this is it gives you these beautiful round circles, and oftentimes it kind of squeezes some of the paint out to the side, so it's a little bit more delicate in the middle, and it almost creates a sort of ring. I don't know. I like the way it looks. It's such a fun technique, and it's like, I don't know, it's great for all ages and all skill levels. All right, so I'm going to make it into a little bit more of a line. And notice, I'm not just placing it straight down. I'm kind of rolling it. That is not behaving. Let's try the other side. I had better luck the other day. We'll be fine. There we go. So these ones are spaced out a bit weird, but this one I got a lot of different colors on. And so I've got like the dark pinks and the light pinks. Let me come up here and show it off. The dark pinks and light pinks. And I can always come in and fill some of those holes or do second shots. I'm going to spread my paint out a little bit more on my palette so that it's not super thick and gooky. And just kind of come in and place some of these little, well, cherry blossom poof balls, because let's face it, here in DC, these things grow in little poof balls. Yeah, that's fun. I love it. Hope you guys are having fun with this. Get your kids, make them do it with you. So we're reaching a little into some of the deeper pinks, into some of the lighter pinks. And you know, your little poof balls don't even have to be directly connected to a stem. You can almost have them kind of out there like they're floating, because that's still totally realistic, oddly enough. Let's see if I can get a little bit more from this guy. I think, ooh, that's fun. So I mixed things up a bit and got a lighter tone here. So I can come in and actually go over some of my poof balls. Not directly over, but sort of off over. And hopefully it won't look too much like I'm just got these little ring things going on. But we can, you know, just do sideways partials. I love it. I'm a big dork, but I love this stuff. I mean, tell me, this is not just like totally satisfying. Pink, pink, little bits. Okay, I don't know. I'm feeling like we're starting to get a cherry tree here, and a little bit here. So Oh yeah, let's do like I said, not do like I do. Where'd I put the thing? There it is. Okay. I'm gonna grab a single Q-tip and we're gonna just tune this a little. Because I'm Wendy. I need more hot pink. And I need some pure hot pink because in case you saw my Instagram post, like, these are my favorite colors. So did we use them every single time so far? And will we continue to use them every single time in this Cherry Blossom Challenge? Yes, we will. All right. So now I'm just going to place a couple of these hot pink blossoms individually throughout. Now, we're human, so we do things in patterns. I want you right now to pause, take a deep breath, and exhale the patterns. Throw them over your shoulder. The temptation is to create a pattern and to say, oh, well, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to put this pink dot in the middle of all these little holes. We're going to put this pink dot in just this place. Don't do it. Don't do it. You got to maintain a little bit of randomness. So if you do a dot here, do 2 dots over there, do 3 in this one, 5 in that one, keep it random. Human nature is to create patterns. And when we create patterns, when we're trying to emulate nature, you know what happens? It stops looking like nature and it starts looking awkward. So do yourself a favor and save the patterns for your Excel spreadsheets. I say that with all love and devotion. I'm a spreadsheet weenie. I love data. I love numbers. I don't love taxes, but I do love numbers and crunching. So there's a time and a place for patterns. Let's not in the entropic world of nature. Okay. Just kind of adding little bits here and there, and you're going to trust your intuition on this, right? You say, oh, you know, I'm feeling like we need a little pink here. We need a little bit more intensity there. Maybe flip it over and, oh, let's squeeze some white on. Now we'll dose that with a little bit of pure white or slightly tuned white. Maybe you want a touch of pink in it. These are some furry suckers. So if it's getting too furry, you can always just kind of allow your fingers to get right in the wet paint and give it a little spin. And that'll kind of give it a little trim there. Q-tip scaping. We'll come in with a few white dots here. Again, avoid that urge to create a pattern. And so the white ones are just as important as the bright ones because they're the ones that are catching the sunlight the most. And so, you know, it's like it was a really fun kind of aha moment when I was creating the Tidal Basin design because you're looking up through at the branch, you know, from underneath and seeing the sun coming through. It turns out oh my gosh, I got all patterny over here. Crap. Turns out you have to really lighten up those flower petals significantly because they're all lit up by the sun. And then you add all these other colors like these wonderful yellows and whatnot. So anyway, I think I'm babbling a little bit, but I think you got the idea. We're just really making these look really full and fluffy and hopefully getting your finding your sort of happy place. And I love this one because I feel it's very approachable, and this is totally a project you could do with the younger set, and you know this will be available for replay, so you can always over the holiday weekend, if you're with family, take your Q-tips, take a few things, set up, and do a blue cat tutorial. All right, so that's getting pretty filled up and pretty pretty whatever it is. It's doing its thing. Now, you know what else we're missing? Last little couple of bits, and then we're gonna, my gosh, we're almost ready to call this done. This was just a smidge over an hour, even with my messing around and attempting to get an Instagram to work. Whenever you see a cherry blossom, what else do you see? You always see them falling. They always create this beautiful snow, and like there ends up being like these almost like puddles or snowfall of petals. So we're gonna take a couple. I'm gonna mix it kind of a clean bit of pink and white because I want this to be opaque. We're just gonna have a few singles, that dots that just sort of find their way kind of randomly down, that are sort of in a treeless world. Not as much as snow, but just a few treeless petals that are just sort of shimmering down on the wind. That matters. So again, watch out for patterns. Here's where it's so easy to be like, oh, and turn your thing into a polka dot page. So if that happens and you get a couple that are a little bit too much for each other, just add a second one kind of right next to one of them, and that'll like throw the whole pattern off. It's like a really great trick. It's like, oh, these were too much alike. We'll just set one there. Okay, we're getting there. Are you guys ready? So I'm gonna call my dots and whatnots is good. I'm gonna give it a quick blow dry just to set my paints. Make sure that I don't have any wet paint covered brushes nearby, because this is sure to permanently set the paint on your brushes and ruin your brushes. And it's time for that black pen again. So again, give it a good shake. You don't have to use a paint pen for this, right? You can always use a just a fine line brush or whatever. However, it takes a lot longer, a lot more skill and patience and all that stuff. And sometimes, I don't know, the paint pen's just fun. I'm kind of a big fan. Just re-outlining, kind of paying attention to where I might have gone over my lines a bit with gesso, reinforcing the darkness of those branches. But you know, if there's sections that got a little bit almost grayed out, like on the fatter branches, as long as the outer edges have kind of been re-upped with the black, I'm good with that. I don't feel the need to necessarily like re-black the whole thing. And we're going to come in and do a little bit of highlighting as well. So work with me here. And remember, cherry trees tend to be kind of gnarled. So if yours jitter and zigzag and all that stuff, it just really makes it seem kind of like an old or ancient tree that's been around, seen many seasons, many tourists. Again, this is DC, so I'm always like Tidal Basin. Ooh, DC cherry blossoms, which by the way, if you've never seen, it's pretty beautiful. It's worth it. And so like these little kind of crooks and nicks and bends and whatnot, it sort of reminds you of like a past life that this tree once had, where branches grew once and were broken off, or someone came by and snapped them themselves like a sprig of flowers last year. And, you know, the tree retains those sort of scars and knots and bends and signs of prior lives. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm getting all philosophical. Okay, here we go. And you know, some of my lines here are kind of a little off from the ones that were underneath it, and it's okay, it gives it character. Now, one thing I'm going to do, just for fun, right here on the thing, I'm going to kind of draw a little bit of a spirally bit that almost ends up looking like there was once a limb growing. Can you see that? I can't see that. It's a little spiral right here, right here. Oh, there you go. You can see it on that one. My cameras have totally different lighting. Like this one's like whoosh, washed out and makes me look all gray. And the other one is like all yellow toned. It's super weird. So, you know, One of these days we'll get it figured out. I wouldn't recommend doing too many of those spirals, but sometimes just the occasional knot or something that, you know, again, speaks to prior lives, prior branches, prior whatever going on. I think that's pretty good for the black there. And then I'm going to run the blow dryer real quick just to ensure that the black is set, because we're going to come in with a white paint pen after. So if you got your white paint pen, start shaking. Get it all shaked up, all shook up. All right, that's good. If you've never used your pen before, make sure that you prime it a little bit. And you know what? If you haven't primed it yet, just sit here and prime it while you watch, because sometimes it takes a while. But lots of shaking. Just always shake with the lid on. One time I shook without the lid, and it was like, I don't think it was the Artistro brand ones, but it was one of them, and I was like, oh my God, really? Okay, I digress. So we're going to add some highlighting to the branches and branches, sticks, whatever. The idea being that we're trying to catch the light and give it that kind of silvery look, because the bark on cherry trees is often kind of a silvery gray. So I don't know if you saw what I just did there. It was really fast. It just kind of happened, right? Kind of follow the line of the top of this, but I don't just draw a single line. I kind of dot and jitter and jiggle my way up, and just little bits here and there. Again, try not to create a pattern. You don't want it to look like you're doing a dotted line, like it's not the line, you know, where the traffic goes this way and this way. So some of them will be longer, some of them will be shorter. There might be a little extra kind of white spots and highlights at some of the bends. There might be sections that don't have any little longer bits. And we're not trying to cover the branch so much as just add little spots where we think the light could be shimmering on that kind of silver bark. Okay, and so we've got the thing that's here, and so then I say, okay, here's a part that's kind of the top, so we'll come grab some there while I'm leaving the lower portion mostly untouched, maybe a little bit along the base here, just because I need to kind of tie it all together. You see how that kind of pops those branches a bit? And I kind of love how my little vase or whatever jar mark is still there. And so maybe a couple of highlights just alluding to that branch there, that little black spiral that we drew. And a little bit coming down the sky. Again, just kind of sun kissing those branches. Nothing significant, but just little bits. Make it fun. And if you feel like making this more gnarled, you can do it, you know, a couple of somethings. I don't know. You know, most trees kind of tend to have a little extra jointular something in this zone. So kind of hinting at that and catching the light with your white pen there is also good. Like that is pretty much it. It's a very close approximation of the original. Obviously, sometimes we just sort of go to town and do our thing, go a little wild, you know. You could always do a second branch if you wanted. And if you freehanded this, awesome. It's going to be really, really original to you. So I hope you had fun tonight. Don't forget to sign your work. That's where your paint pens come in handy. And we will see you tomorrow, I hope. So just a quick reminder, tomorrow is going to be April in Paris. It'll be the Eiffel Tower piece with the cherry blossoms, and it is available on Facebook only to our, I'm trying to find the picture of it, available only to the people who are in the Let's Paint with Facebook group, or Let's Paint with Blue Cat group. However, what's it cost to become part of the group? Nothing. All you got to do is click join, and you enter your email address. That way I can stay in touch with you and all that good stuff. Oh, shoot. I just saw a whole bunch more comments that just came through. I'm sorry, you guys. I must have messed things up. Anyway, sorry, a little flow here. Lost my train of thought. So anyways, yeah, join the Facebook group, and so that you can do the next couple paintings with us. We have the Eiffel Tower, we have the Tidal Basin, and plus you can gain access to all the design tutorials. So thank you guys so much for joining. And Jill, I see your note there. Do you still use gesso if you're using a pre-bought canvas? Great question. So if you're buying a pre-bought canvas and it's come white, you do not need to gesso it. The gesso, as we're using it today, is not so much as a primer, but as a mixed media tool. It has a lot of tooth. So for example, sometimes I will like paint on printer paper. And so that printer paper is going to fall apart really quickly if I'm attempting to do a lot with it, like with paint and watercolor and pencils and pens and like all the things, right? So a coat of gesso it changes the nature of the printer paper, so it becomes thicker. It takes color pencil better. It takes other paint better. And so no, it's not required on canvas. In fact, it's really made for like raw canvas, but it's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful for priming other surfaces. Like for example, if I didn't want my watercolor paper to be as absorbent as it was today, although I thought that was an advantage, I would gesso it because then it wouldn't suck up all my paint. But today I love that because it means way less drying with a hairdryer, and it means I can continue to move through this painting quickly so that you're not like bored waiting for my paint to dry. Let's see. So what would I recommend for the whitewash layer just before the tree? Oh, that is gesso for sure. If you don't have gesso, you could just get some regular white paint and water it down. And I'm using the higher end acrylic gesso, which is the Liquitex Professional. I tried to order the Liquitex Basic stuff, but Amazon lost it. So I said, hey, refund. So you could also use that one. It's just, it's such a funky, weird, kind of almost absorbent. I don't know. It's really cool. In fact, if before you're ready to commit to it, if you just give me a heads up, like this week, I can make a little paint packet for you, Jill, and you can come by and get some and test it out. I have been using a lot of it for all of these projects. So I hope that helps. And again, if you have more questions, let me just put that one up. Oh, look at that. I'm still learning how to use StreamYard and make the notes come up. But yeah, so gesso, that's my favorite. Like this is a small bottle and I just keep refilling it with my mega bottle. But I don't think you necessarily need a full 32 ounces. I just plow through the stuff. And my first bottle was a small one like this, and it was great. It made me realize how amazing this stuff is. So again, I'm not even necessarily selling the Liquitex brand per se, but I've used it enough and had such great results that, you know, you stick to what works. Some of these other off brands, you never know. And you can get a lot of this stuff at Michael's. So anyways, have a great night, you guys, and we will see you tomorrow for April in Paris, and it'll be April Fool's Day. So hopefully it'll be great. Anyways, you guys are awesome. Love you muchly. Bye. I'm so bad at turning these things off. Oh my gosh.